here we are. I say we because I'm with my friend Gabrielle. She's upstairs there. So here's Gabrielle. She's visiting from California. And so what do you hope to find today, Gigi?
I hope to find anything.
Okay.
Honestly, anything, but I would really, my dream find is a rose farthing.
A rose farthing. Okay, let's see if we can do that. We have got here so early that we can't actually get down onto the foreshore yet, but we will be there soon. So stay tuned to see what we find today. Right, here we go. Let's see if it's got anything on it. I'm guessing it's a tizer. Let's see. No, it's one of the dot pattern ones, but I'm gonna take that. Could be a Lucasade or a tizer or something. Early 20th century, late 19th. Cool. If you know me, you'll know I'm not so hot on flint finds. In fact, I'm so unsure on the identification of them. I usually get in touch with my old mucker, the very learned Thames flint napper, aka Mudlark Thames Larker, aka Rothersman. Okay, you get the idea. I got in touch with Alan, because that's his real name, to see if he thought this piece of flint had been worked. I mean, look at it. How on earth could that shape be naturally occurring? Obviously, I thought it might be a semi-worked piece, perhaps to create an arrowhead even. Nope, dreams shattered once again, as this piece of flint here, says Alan, showing signs of starch fractures from frost, which is a common thing that can mimic worked flint. Drats. But hey, what's this? This looks better to me. Surely it's been worked by human hands. By jingo, I think I've done it this time. It's my first worked piece of flint from the River Thames. Alan confirmed it and also added this very helpful piece of information. Now this worked piece shows some small retouching, and it also has some Thames chatter from tumbling. It has a visible bulb of percussion and shockwave ripples, and because of the flint cortex still on the outside, this is the first flake from the flint removed by a human and was most likely used as a scraper, dating from the Mesolithic to the late Neolithic period. So not an amazing worked tool, but it's a start. I've just spotted a ye old classic jar. Some sort of potted meat or condiment, mid 20th century, but you know what, that's quite a nice little jar that I will use to put my paintbrushes and stuff in. I'm gonna have that. Gabrielle's found something brilliant. Here it is. It's a bit of Delftware tile, I think. That's what it looks like to me. That is beautiful. What a find. So that's your first major find. You've had some other bits and bobs, beads, shell stuff, but that is really beautiful.
Yay.
So well done on that one. I think
Professor Plum made it lucky.
There's the dance.
Yay.
There's the dance. Oh, that's beautiful. So you can see there all the little dotting and kind of pitting. That is definitely tin glazed ware, and you can see on the side there. Yeah, I think 16th to 18th century. Amazing. We'll have to find you a match online. Here I am with my bit of possibly rubbish, but look, it's not going to be anything with any great age, but hoog. Hoog? I think it's a hoog. What could that be? It looks like some kind of utility. Ooh, nice bit of mud there. I'll get this washed off and then find out what it is. It might be, oh yeah, it's got to be something electrical, hasn't it? But it's got some writing on it, so I'm interested. There's a nice piece of 18th century export porcelain, or maybe English paste, hand painted. That's very sweet. Here's another piece of blue and white. Oh, it's a nice piece, I think. Ah, there we go. Edge of a plate from some willow pattern, I think. There we go. Pretty. Right, so I've just flipped this piece up here and I love these. Okay, so you can see there, this is the rim of a redware vessel of some kind. And you can see the form, the rim form there. And then what they do to help with gripping it when you pick these vessels up, they've added this clay on afterwards. So the potter has added this to the constructed pot so that when you pick it up, you've got something to grip onto. So that is really cool. It may look kind of a bit bland and ordinary to most people, but I really like seeing this additional piece of clay that gets added so it has a real functional use. I am going to take that. For fans of writing, this one doesn't have a lot of age, but it's got some writing. Let's have a look. Here we go. Old King, Deptford. Wow, pretty cool. I think I'll be able to find out what that is, and I'll stick some information up on the screen. It's another case of down the rabbit hole now with this stoneware flagon fragment. Buckle in, we're going for a wild ride. Bearing a tantalising scrap of information, this piece of Victorian pottery has us tide travelling to unexpected places, really unexpected places, two very different Deptford deaths. Take a look at the fragment. You'll see it's from a typical beer flagon, pale in colour, with what would once have been a name and address on its collar. Sadly, the name is missing, but we have enough to go on. The imprinted words read, Old King, Dept. My first port of call was, of course, a pub name. Perhaps the Old King's Head or Old King's Arms Inn? You guessed it, Deptford. A cursory search of databases such as the Post Office Directory from the Victorian period would show you that, whilst Deptford was indeed littered with pubs, once being a dockyard village, and hey, a dock has got to get refreshed, right? There wasn't an entry for any Old King's Head at all. There's a King's Head, yes, but not the Old King's Head. I wondered if the pub had changed name, becoming the King's Head later on, but no, that wasn't the answer. A little lateral thinking was required. Yes, you see on beer flagon collars you find the name of the pub, but you also ordinarily find the street with or without numbers of the establishment. The street, of course. Without a doubt, it was a flagon from a public house or licensed victualler on Old King Street, later King Street, and then finally what we now know as Watergate Street. Remember I said there were a great many pubs in Deptford? Okay, well, we haven't just narrowed down our search, we've actually widened it. The Bull and Butcher, the Fishing Smack, Red Cow, take your pick, pubs, we got 'em. Unfortunately, I've not been able to narrow it down much further than this. But as the Bull and Butcher was ostensibly the largest and longest running establishment and closest to the find spot of my pottery fragment, I'm hedging my bets on the shard coming from a Bull and Butcher flagon purchased by a dock worker, guzzled down by the Royal Dock, and left in a workshop. Later, when the docks closed, forgotten about, discarded, knocked over, left on a rubbish pile, rolled around by the river, and finally found, one day, over 100 years later, by a happy little mudlark. Lucky for us, actually, that I'm going with the Bull and Butcher, as I can semi-legitimately swerve into the following segue. Extraordinary and surprising novelty may be seen on the premises of Mr. Williams, Bull and Butcher, Old King Street, Deptford. A fine young whale, which was killed off Deptford Pier yesterday, October 23rd, 1842, by a number of watermen. There was no easing you in gently with that one. Yes, a whale. We do find lost whales in the Thames sometimes, most recently a stranded baby minke whale at Richmond Lock, which very sadly was put down after it was stranded a second time at Teddington. There was also Willie the Whale, a female bottlenose, stranded in 2006. She was freed successfully, but again very sadly died. I can't say that the 1842 whale had a happy ending either. Actually, it was decidedly more grisly. A whale in the Thames in 1842 was less seen as something to be rescued, not that our last two attempts worked very well, but something to snare, capture and kill, and then finally exhibit as a spectacle. The London Illustrated News, who identified the species as a 14 feet and 6 inches long finback whale of 29th October 1842, described the circus thusly. 5 of them put off in their boat, and one of them, armed with a large bearded spear, commenced the attack upon this monster, which soon showed symptoms of weakness and threw up large quantities of water from the aperture on its back. The other boats surrounded the animal and pushed it along with their boat hooks close under the pier. When they finally dispatched him, with strong cords and pullers raised him, and, with much difficulty, upon the pier. In a short time afterwards, such immense numbers of persons congregated to gratify their curiosity that Mr. John Taylor, the High Constable of Deptford, was compelled to call for the aid of the R Division of the police to keep order. Rather curiously, the reason given for the whale being lost in the Thames was that he is supposed to have gone blind in the river while in the pursuit of herrings. I'm not entirely sure what scientific method was used to surmise such strange reasoning, but it was the time of harebrained, authoritative Victorians after all. A special display stand was made, and outside the Bull and Butcher at 9 Old King Street the whale was displayed for all and sundry to wow at the monster. Later it was suggested that the whale was transported to the Half Moon Inn down the road, in Borough. Ultimately it was dissected and its skeleton ended up at the British Museum. It appears that the whale's skeleton was still in their catalogue in 1866, according to the catalogue of seals and whales in the British Museum. Here is the rest of the article from the London Illustrated News. The fortunate captors, having measured him, state that his total length is 14 feet 6 inches and that he weighs about 2 tons. His mouth is 3 feet 10 inches long and his tail measures the same length from point to point. At daybreak on Monday morning, a large number of carriages being procured, this enormous fish was, after great labour and time, removed and secured by chains to it and conveyed by means of several horses to the premises adjoining Mr. Williams, the Bull and Butcher, Old King Street, and placed upon a stand erected for the purpose. The animal is what is known by persons accustomed to the whale fishery as a finback or finfish. He is supposed to have gone blind in the river while in pursuit of herrings. If you thought that was bad enough, think again. I have another story of death to share with you, this time of 2-legged species. Yes, it's us. A very sad story of the accidental death of a young child. Elizabeth Cole, aged 2½ years, who died at a house on Elliot Square, having pulled a kettle of hot water over herself while her parents were absent. The inquest for this tragedy was held at the Bull and Butcher and reported in the Maidstone and Kentish Journal on the 9th of January 1869. Strangely, there's another death of a child at play recorded alongside Elizabeth. The inquest verdict for both of them? Accidental death. I've tried to find out more about little Elizabeth Cole, however it's tricky, and at the time the area had turned into a slum, so it's likely there's very little recorded evidence of her short life. If I do happen to find something out, I will, of course, update you all. So I can see just at water's edge. So Gabrielle just picked up, oh, there's 20 pence. There you go. Live. Well, not live, but you know what I mean. Oh, come on, 20p. We've got a 20p. We've got a bit of tile. San Juan tile. San Juan. And there's all this plate stuff we keep finding, and I can't remember what they're called. They're like wishing plates or something, or intention plates. So you write your intentions on there and then you chuck the plate overboard and cast it to the river. But look, there's loads of it. Gabrielle found a tiny piece and now we found lots more. So there we go. There's a nice little bit. What does that say? Help. Oh dear. Oh. Help. Chosen something. Or maybe, oh no, it says he, not help. We're okay, we're good, we're good. There we go. Okay, so we found our coin line. Here is a 1948 halfpenny. So Gabrielle just found that. Let me just turn that over. There we go. Lovely, great find. So I think we've got a bit of... Okay, so all eagle eyes, Gabrielle has found this. Pointed this one out to me. I think it may be... is that an ink? I'm not sure. I have to check that when I get home, but I think it might be an ink bottle. I'll need to check that out. So yeah, good find. Right, she's spotted another thing. Here we go. Modern-ish, but I've got a bit of a thing about keys, so I will be taking that. There we go, good old Union British patent. But you know what? A key is a lucky thing, I think, so I'm taking that with me. Okay guys, that's all from Gabrielle and me down on the Thames today. I'll leave you with some of this boat footage. There's one other final thing. Look who we found on the way home.
I told you, Olivia. You didn't believe me. I'm not.
Catch you next time, guys.